Good morning. I'm Mayor Tommy Roberts. Welcome back to the Mayor's Table. My guest this morning is Kyle Rhodes, who is the President, CEO of PESCO, Inc. here in Farmington, New Mexico. Kyle, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Tommy. I appreciate it.
Glad you're with us this morning. I want to talk mostly about your company and the evolution of that company from its beginning days to the current time. I also want to note, for the benefit of our viewers, that you're also the President of the Farmington Board of Education. And how long have you been serving in that capacity?
I'm in my 6th year, so I have 2 more years on this term.
Yeah. So we appreciate the volunteerism that you demonstrate when you decided to run for political office. It's not a paid position, and so you're dealing in a very difficult time with a very difficult subject matter. A lot of challenges there.
Yeah, people are passionate about their kids and education, and fortunately, Farmington's doing really well in that arena right now. So we're in a good place.
Maybe we can have you back another time to talk about some of the good things that are happening with education in Farmington.
I'd love to.
But I can remember serving on the Board of Education in the early 80s, and the thing that I came away with very quickly was that everyone knows a teacher, your grandparent, your parent, everybody has a strong opinion about education.
Yeah, and everybody's connected.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about your company, and want to connect it with our interest in economic development in San Juan County and some of the efforts that are being made to promote economic development. But tell us about the beginning of your company.
So we came into existence in 1970. My parents actually started it, and started out on a shoestring, basically, as mom and dad, and my brother and I was 12 and he was 13 when we started this thing, and gradually grew this thing and to where we are today. So today we have about 310 employees. It's kind of been up and down with the economy of the oil and gas industry. We at the time we sold to El Paso Natural Gas when we first started, and here just in the San Juan Basin. But now we're selling all the way up and down the Rockies, into the Permian Basin, into the Eagle Ford Shale, there between San Antonio and Corpus Christi, Texas, up in the DJ Basin. So we've got a pretty extensive geographical area that we cover.
A lot of people will know what the business is, but some won't. So tell us what you do.
So we model, design, and manufacture oil field production equipment. That's our main go. We also have a field service operations, and we actually have a field service operation up in the DJ Basin, where we have about 10 guys up there.
Yeah. So it's still a family business, family-operated business. In large part, isn't it?
That's correct. So my brother and I are still involved, have been there except for getting our degrees at the great New Mexico State University. and my brother-in-law's involved. And so we still are the core of the business, although we've hired a lot of expertise in some other areas, and so that's allowed us to do this growth.
So we talk a lot about economic development. We are very much interested. In fact, I think maybe it's the highest priority that we have at local government, because obviously we can't provide services that we provide without a healthy economy. If we don't have that thriving economy, then there's downward pressure on the ability to provide those services.
Right.
So your company story is a success story. Certainly you've weathered your way through some of the down times, but right now you're in a growth mode again, and you indicate you employ upwards of 300 people currently. Talk a little bit about how the employment picture has ebbed and flowed over time.
Yeah, and that's been a challenge, and I think it is for any organization when you go through these economic downturns. In 2010 was a big downturn, because at the time we were selling mostly into the natural gas market, and actually those were our first layoffs, was around 2010, and so after 40 years of business we had our first layoffs, and we designed a different product. It is a little different in that we started selling into the oil industry, and then again in 2015 for us, we had gotten up to about 310 people. And in 2015, we saw the big downturn in the oil industry and dropped down to about 180 people. Again, we tried to keep all we could, but in that period of time, everybody just stopped drilling and stopped needing our product. Started ramping back up for us in October of 2016, and we've just gradually continued to hire people and are still trying to hire people. We're working closely with San Juan College in their welding program to get people. And so now we're up at around 310 people, and we still have plans to add probably another 30 to 40 before November. So we still have some room to grow.
So it truly is a success story, and when we're getting quite a bit of bad news about job losses in our community, yours is a company that can be pointed to as a company that's growing jobs. And these are what we call economic-based jobs,
Right.
in that they're relatively good paying jobs, and you're producing a service and a product that you're exporting out of the area primarily, and you're bringing, you're importing dollars into our economy, and that's the definition of an economic-based job. So those are the best kind of jobs
Right.
we have. And then those economic-based jobs support indirect jobs as well. So it truly is a trickle-down phenomena that we really need to have in our community.
Yeah.
So we're talking about economic growth, revitalization of our local economy. And one of the points of emphasis is expansion and retention of existing business. And really that's where you fall in. You're an existing business. Economic development organizations want to help businesses grow and expand. What role has Four Corners Economic Development Service played in the evolution of your business over time?
Yeah, that's a good question, because ForSEDS is really a key to success for an organization like ours, because they offer expertise in some areas that we really don't have, and those are things like the LEDA funds. So we're in the process of looking at an expansion, a pretty substantial expansion, and the state offers grants. It's called the Local Economic Development Assistance Grant, and that will help us build that facility with a guarantee of jobs. And so the job growth that we expect is from January 1st of 2017 through this whole process is about 170 jobs is what we've said that we can get for that grant. And so ForSEDS has helped us maneuver through that whole process, which is a little bit of a complicated process. But Warren has helped us maneuver through that, and we're right at the end of getting that process done. The other thing that's helped us quite a bit is through the state is the JTIP program, and that's a workforce development program. And if you really look at any organization, it's the workforce that really makes you successful. And but training people is expensive, and getting them online is expensive. And JTIP really helps us do that economically, and allows us to kind of fast track that growth of our people. The other thing, some of the other things that ForSEDS does is it makes connections for us with other people with expertise. And I tell you, if you're not involved with ForSEDS, you really need to get involved, because they have some powerful programs that can help any organization.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that plug for the organization. We think that it's out there, it's available to help companies in the local area grow, expand, take advantage of resources they might not otherwise be aware of or have the ability to directly connect to. What do you see for the future of your company? In the short term, say the next year to 2 years, and then let's expand that discussion out to 5 to 10 years.
Well, so our organization may be a little different in that, but I think that a lot of organizations need to do this, is that we've started working on our culture really hard. And really in 2010 is where we really couldn't afford it. I mean, that was in the height of the downturn of that natural gas bust. And we went through what we call a culture transformation. And it's a transformation where you define your values, and then you describe the behaviors around those values. And so everything we do is around the values of the organization. So ours are integrity, mutual respect and trust, and commitment to excellence. And everything those values thread their way through everything we do in our organization. All of our leadership it's a requirement. They have to model that. And it's not only modeling that at the workplace, but it's modeling that in the community too. And so what that has allowed us to do is to build really strong relationships with our customers, that they trust what we do and what we say, because what we do and what we say is what we model and what we provide to them. And so we've really got some really strong relationships with some customers. And we signed a contract recently that took us through June of 2020 on equipment. And so right now, we're looking at, as long as the oil prices stay reasonable, that we're going to be busy doing this type of work for the next several years. Now, what we're working really hard on, though, is using lean manufacturing and technology to improve what we do. And so we're right at the beginning stages of getting into robotics, which will allow us to manufacture maybe just as high quality but less expensively. But what we've tried to communicate to our employees is that it doesn't affect their jobs. It just adds to our capabilities. And so it just gives us the ability to do more and hire more people. You see, that the thing about PESCO that's a little different in that, we have to make profits, to stay in business. But one of our key things is we need to equip our people to have an impact in the community, have an impact in their families, have an impact when they're coaching teams and things like that. So it's important for us to be successful. It's important for us to be innovative. It's important for us to employ technology so that we can continue to impact the community in a positive manner. Beyond, 3 to 4 years or whatever, it's hard to say. But we hired a gentleman about a year ago that is over our new business development. And we're looking at our growth coming from different industries so that it takes kind of the peaks and valleys out of this oil and gas industry. And we haven't really landed on anything yet because, frankly, this ramp up in this industry has been so steep that we've just been trying to keep up with that. But we do have plans to diversify a bit, not away from oil and gas, but our growth come from maybe a different
Well, it
area.
sounds like you've got a strategic plan that's flexible, but you've got one that probably runs you out for the next 5 to 10 years at least, and a lot of flexibility built into it. I want to close here, Kyle, by just acknowledging something that you referred to, and that has to do with the values that you try to instill through your business operations into your employee base. And it's the idea of corporate citizenship, the recognition that a community enables you in some way to have this business. It enables you to be successful in that business, and that you recognize an obligation to return something to the community. I've known your family for a long time. I've known you for a long time, and I know that that's very much important to you and your family. I just want to say on behalf of the people of Farmington that we appreciate your embracing of the idea of corporate citizenship, and that we acknowledge that you return a lot back to the community. So it's really critical to strong communities, and you contribute heavily to it. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
Kyle, I appreciate you coming in for these few minutes so that we can highlight your company and talk about its interrelationship to our economic development efforts. Is there anything you'd like to add that maybe we haven't addressed through the questions I've asked?
Well, no, not specifically about PESCO, but I'm proud of Farmington. And, we have leadership in Farmington, yourself, at our schools, at San Juan College, at the hospital, that are strong leaders, that are strong values-based leaders. And And I think that this community is, yeah, we've seen our tough times, but I think we're only going to get better. So, and I appreciate your service.
Yeah.
To the
Thank you, Kyle.
community.
I think a lot of people are engaged in the effort and continue to be engaged, and we've got a lot of challenges ahead of us, but I think we're all up to the task.
Yeah, for sure.
Kyle, thanks for being here as my guest on the Mayor's Table this morning. We want to thank all of you for joining us on the Mayor's Table, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next Monday.